Where do I stand on Brexit? Well, here it goes. The working class have spoke, and I'm one of them, and I'm with them.
They didn't stop them coming in.
Right. 1 in 4 women will be a victim of domestic violence.
Are you sure about that?
Just a small town cat looking for a guy to suck. He took the green-haired dye and changed his sex. Just a feminist, anti-white and proud of it. She wants Sharia law in every town.
Hey gents, Miggy here. So, CNN has claimed that cuckoldry can be positive for some couples, citing a recent study by Dan Savage. Quote, "In our current political climate, the term cuck, supposedly short for conservative, has become an insult to the so-called alt-right, aimed at men they view as spineless and emasculated. The slur has its roots in the concept of cuckolding or having an adulterous partner," end quote, claimed CNN in their article demonstrating a tenuous grasp on popular usage of the term. Quote, "But according to a recent study by David Lay, Justin Lemiller, and the writer Dan Savage, acting on cuckolding fantasies can be a largely positive experience for many couples, and hardly a sign of weakness," end quote. Quote, "Cuckolding has become fetishized into a powerful sexual fantasy for some men, who get aroused by the idea of their romantic partner engaging in sexual activity with someone else. Women also share this fantasy, but less so than men," end quote, they explain. Quote, "Remember that sometimes just sharing a sexy thought can be arousing enough. You don't have to follow through. If you're thinking about acting on a cuckolding fantasy, it's worth stepping back first and making sure that your relationship is in a good place and that you have a strong sexual communication skills. For couples who do decide to move forward, it's important to take things slow," end quote. So CNN based their statements on a study co-produced by sex writer Dan Savage, which revealed 58% of American men and about a third of women had fantasized about cuckolding. Savage, a far-left LGBT public figure, has previously expressed his wishes that all Republicans, quote, "were fucking dead," end quote, wish cancer on Sarah Palin, support citizenship for illegal immigrants, and following the 2016 Orlando shooting at Paul's nightclub, attempted to blame the attack on, quote, "toxic masculinity," end quote, and guns instead of radical Islam. And also, in year 2000, Savage also licked the doorknobs in politician Gary Bauer's campaign office in an attempt to make the Republican ill.
Want to be a true intellectual, a man of the future? Become a cuckold. Those are the instructions from CNN. A bizarre propaganda-style article posted to CNN's website recently asserts that, I'm quoting now, "cuckolding can be positive for some couples." It's hard to tell what exactly the intent of the article is, except to encourage the breakdown of healthy marriages as they have been understood for, let's see, all of history. There's a common theme on the left which hates the traditional family for reasons that are not really clear. Joe Concha writes about the media for The Hill, and he joins us tonight. Joe, I've seen a lot of weird stuff on CNN, even when I worked there, promoting adultery and even weirder, cuckoldry. What is that?
Well, it's a pattern that I think we've seen for the last 3 weeks now, Tucker. I mean, think about what we discussed on this show alone. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a CNN reporter lighting a bong for somebody on the air. I don't mind if you're reporting on marijuana, but to actually engage in the act, probably not good to look like you're advocating it. And then just 2 weeks ago, we were talking about various hosts and anchors and guests somehow saying a word that rhymes with spithole 165 times in one day on the air. I mean, that's to the point where you're at the dog eating the wheel of cheese in the refrigerator. You're not even mad, you're impressed that they could actually say that word that many times. And then we get to cuckolding, which is a term that I literally had to look up when a radio producer contacted me yesterday to say if I wanted to join them on the show to talk about. I had never even heard of this before, so I did what everybody else does. I looked it up in the dictionary. And apparently it means to make another man a cuckold by having a sexual relationship with his wife. So, you know, whenever I dreamt of going into journalism, I knew I'd be discussing this type of topic on this day. But to answer your question, I think that I have a theory around this, and that CNN is struggling greatly from a ratings perspective. They could barely average 800,000 people throughout their day and evening. So what you do in those situations is you push the envelope with the examples I just described. But the problem is you're now appealing to the lowest common denominator, and that's not what CNN
but the envelope is
and has
always
been for the 38 years
but it's always in the same direction. It's toward things that are perverse, disgusting, creepy, weird, unhappy, and against the one thing they hate, which is like an average family. They hate that. What is that about? Why is the left so angry at the family? I don't understand. I really don't.
Why are they angry at the family? I think it's because Bob Schieffer came up with this great study a couple of months ago, and he talked about how 1 in 5 journalists now live in New York, Washington, or L.A. And they're in these bubbles. They're in this same sort of, you use the term a lot, groupthink. And the suburbs, like where I live, and I got my 2 kids, and I have my wife, and the white picket fence, it's not white, it's green, but fine. I think that that's seen as something that's not hip, not cool, not within the bubble.
I mean, they're very hostile to it. Okay, so quickly, I guess given all this, it's not that surprising that CNN is one of the most polarizing brands in America. That is not speculation. It's according to a new survey that shows there's a 66-point favorability gap between the right and the left when it comes to CNN. Only Trump hotels, by the way, are more polarizing. What's your quick take on that, Joe?
I would say that obviously CNN has been the target of the president more than any other news outlet. And there's a good reason for it. If you look at every study and every analysis that's been done since Donald Trump took office a year ago, the network has been overwhelmingly negative towards the administration, has been the face of the resistance. And if you watch it for more than 5 minutes, you can see what I'm talking about. But also, I think it continues to insist that it's objective. And I think that insults many people's intelligence. You know, I interviewed Phil Griffin, who's the president of MSNBC, just last year, and he actually said, he joked with me, he said, I wish President Trump would attack us more and give us the free press that CNN gets. So I think that that's the issue here, that they become polarizing because they're taking a stand, and that's not the network that people grew up with starting in 1980 through the Gulf Wars. They now see a different network, and I think it, again, to use that term, insults their intelligence when they continue to insist that they're objective. I think that's exactly right. In the way that MSNBC does it. You sort of know what you're getting, but CNN is false, and it drives people bonkers. Me too. Joe, thank you. Have a good cuckolding weekend.
Well, thanks, Joe.
Thanks for watching. Smash the like button, subscribe and bang the bell. And if you like my videos, support this channel via PayPal, Patreon or buy crypto.
Drop the bass, kitty.